بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم
اللہ اکبر اللہ اکبر اللہ اکبر اللہ اکبر اشہد ان لا الہ الا اللہ اشہد ان لا الہ الا اللہ اشہد ان محمد رسول اللہ اشہد ان محمد رسول اللہ حی علی الصلاۃ حی علی الصلاۃ حی علی الفلاح حی علی الفلاح اللہ اکبر اللہ اکبر لا الہ الا اللہ
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وقضى ربك ألا تعبدوا إلا إياه وبالوالدين إحسانا إما يبلغن عندك الكبر أحدهما أو كلاهما فلا تقل لهما أف ولا تنهرهما وقل لهما قولا كريما واخفض لهما جناح الذل من الرحمة وقل رب ارحمهما كما ربياني صغيرا ربكم أعلم بما في نفوسكم إن تكونوا صالحين فإنه كان للأوابين غفورا وآتي ذا القربى حقه والمسكين وابن السبيل ولا تبذر تبذيرا. This is chapter 17, verses 23 to 26. And their English translation is, and your Lord has decreed that you serve none but him, and do good to parents. If either or both of them reach old age with you, say not fie to them, meaning do not speak to them disrespectfully, nor chide them, and speak to them a generous word. And lower to them the wing of humility out of mercy, and say, my Lord, have mercy on them, as they brought me up when I was little. Your Lord knows best what is in your minds. If you're righteous, he is surely forgiving to those who turn to him, and give to the near of kin his due, and to the needy and the wayfarer, and squander not. The Holy Quran, in simple terms, in many of its verses, gives us instructions which, if we follow, would stop us from falling into error. Not only as individuals, but many of the social problems that people face arise because we take these verses lightly and we think that they are not important. Here the Holy Quran lays upon a Muslim two duties. One, to serve the Lord, and the other, to do good to parents. And then gives a little more detail. That you respect them, that you speak to them politely, and so on. And this becomes a norm in Eastern societies, in Muslim societies. To give you one example, that if you go to visit someone and you have luggage, etc., and you get out of the car or the taxi or whatever, the host's children will not let you touch your luggage. Why? Out of respect. Respect for the elder person. But here the Quran specifically speaks to the children. Do good to your parents. But the problem is this, that this can only happen if we forget me. You hear, this is me time. I don't care my mother is crying with pain, or she needs cleaning or feeding or whatever. This is me time. This is my money. And unless we learn to replace me with us, these problems will get worse and worse. Why does God start this verse with, God has decreed that you serve none but Him? As God is saying that gratitude is one of the most important aspects of a human's life. Serve me by being grateful to me. I gave you clean air, clean water, and thousands of other things. But what do parents do? You see, God is creating the parallel between what He gives you and what parents give you. This is why He's saying, serve none but Him. So show gratitude only to Allah. He's the one who gave you everything, including your parents. But then in relation to you as a child, as a baby, parents are in the same position as God is with you. And it's only when this concept of us disappears and when this concept of us disappears and is replaced with me, then gratitude, generosity, kindness disappears to be replaced with selfishness and greediness. To serve others, we have to make sacrifices. A baby cries in the night, and the mother gets up. She gives up her rest, her sleep. If she said, this is me time, what will happen to the baby? And we see many examples where couples, in their selfishness, have become so extreme that even when children are in need of help and supervision and feeding and cleaning and so on, they don't bother. As I said, to serve others, we have to make sacrifices of time and of money. I gave mother as an example, getting up in the middle of the night, but the same applies to fathers. I well remember many years ago that we went out shopping. This was we lived in Southampton at the time. And it was for clothing for my father and myself. We'd gone out to buy suits. And I wanted to buy a 3-piece suit. And we didn't have enough money. So what did my father do? He said, that's okay. I'll get my own suit clean and make do with that. But buy my son the suit that he likes. Now reverse the situation. Reverse the situation. I grow up, my father is old, and we go shopping, and the same situation arises. Would I say, it's okay, buy my father a new suit? I'll make do with an old one. I'll find all manner of excuses. Oh, Dad's at home all the time. He doesn't need to go out. I have to go out. I have to go to court. I have to meet barristers and whatever else. If you don't want to do something, you will always find an excuse for it. But what's at the bottom of it all, and that is that I am not prepared to make a sacrifice for someone else. God says elsewhere, if someone does you a favor, then return that with a favor. And most problems in the world, in society, now come from the fact that the social fabric is breaking down. Family is or has broken down. We saw a number of sad stories in the news this week. The couple who, for some strange reason, they had a baby, few days old baby. We don't know what they did, but the baby died. And they just left the baby in the cold in the woods. When you fall to that level of inhumanity, what can you expect? Have you seen how animals treat their children when they're born? The birds and the horses and the cows and the camels, how they treat their young ones. If you watch some nature programs, you're amazed. Giraffes protect their children from lions and tigers and cheetahs. Can you imagine a giraffe fighting a lion or a tiger? But this week or last week, I think there was a program, and they showed how these animals protect their children. But when the shoe is on the other foot, when the parent needs defending and help, what do children do? And if the human society has fallen to this level, then why do we express surprise? Why do we express surprise at what's going on in the streets? The homelessness, the drug addiction, and all the thousands of other things are a result of this breakdown. See, people talk about establishing an Islamic government and an Islamic state, and the police will come round with a big stick, and if you don't go out to the mosque for your whatever prayer it is, they beat you around the head with it and so on, and we say, oh, then an Islamic state will be established. No. We don't need a government. You need to establish an Islamic state in your heart. And you start by being good and being kind and being affectionate and generous to those nearest to you. The Quran says, when you're doing something good, your nearest come first, and then those who are further apart, and then those who are further apart. It may be because of relationship, it may be because where you live, your closest neighbors come first, and then those who are further away, and then those who are further away from that. An Islamic government, an Islamic society won't be created by some religious police going around and beating people because their hijab is not the correct size or place, or by force implementing these things. An Islamic society will be created if we create one in our hearts. Listen to the verses again. Your Lord has decreed that you serve none but Him. And what's next to that? Do good to parents. Now people say, I'm busy. They find an old people's home and put the parents there. And I've been to old people's homes with Asian parents, with Muslim parents, with Pakistani parents. And no one has been around to see them for months. Months. And some of them were in a situation where they were the only Pakistani person, and they didn't know any English. And they found it hard even to explain to the care staff what they needed. But we want an Islamic government in the parliament. Never mind the fact that we put our own parents or grandparents in a home. You know, at one time, it used to be regarded as embarrassing that Asian parents or grandparents should be put in a home. The children and grandchildren used to make huge sacrifices to look after their elders. But sadly, those days appear to have gone. If either or both of them reach old age with you, say not fie to them, not chide them and speak to them with a generous word. How many times have we seen that a mother or a father or a grandmother or a grandfather ask their child or grandchild something to do with an iPhone or a mobile or a computer or something more than once? And the children get so irritated and start telling them off. Let me ask you, how many times did your parents teach you how to use a knife and fork or a spoon? How long did it take? Did they teach you only once, and then if you did it wrong the next time, give you a slap? How long did it take? When you started to walk? For how long did they protect you? Save you from falling over and hurting yourself before you could stand up and walk? Did they chide you? Did they insult you? Did they shout at you? Or did they encourage you? And lower to them the wing of humility out of mercy and say, my Lord, have mercy on them. They brought me up when I was small. And your Lord knows what's in your minds. If you're righteous, He is surely forgiving to those who turn to Him. And then again, the Holy Quran turns to the theme of sacrifice. Give to the near of kin his due. And the nearest to you are your parents and your grandparents. And give to the near of kin his due. That's not just in money, but also in love and affection and companionship. In many places, you go to a home and you find that the old grandparent is on his own, literally locked in a room with the door closed, as if he or she is some kind of an embarrassment to the family. Give to the near of kin his due, and to the needy, and to the wayfarer. And what's the last thing? And squander not. You can get from A to B in a Yaris. You don't need a Ferrari. As long as your clothing is suitable for the time of the year, you don't need to spend 600 pounds on a sweater just created by some designer or other. You can go to, well, in America it's Walmart, and get one for $10. As long as your need is fulfilled. Anything more than that is squandering your money. God has put you in the same position as He is in relation to you. And He wants to see what you do. Whether you are keener to spend your money on gadgets and electronics and flashy cars and flashy clothes compared to helping people, especially your near and dear ones. Social problems these days arise because we've forgotten how to be a family. Sometimes when kids get married, they deliberately live a long distance away from their parents, so that parents find it difficult to visit them every week or whenever. And what is the solution to these social problems? It is to learn to become a family again. And if you want to learn that, you'll have to remember that you will have to make many sacrifices. Many things you want to do, you will have to forego for the sake of your parents and your grandparents, in the same way as they did when you were young. Barakallahu lana wa lakum fil Quranil Azim wa nafa'ana wa iyyakum bil ayati wa zikril hakim innahu ta'ala jawadun karimun malikun barrufur rahim. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillahi, nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa nu'minu bihi wa natawakkalu alayhi wa na'udzu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina. Man yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu wa man yudlilhu fala hadiya lahu. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم انصر من نصر دين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم واجعلنا منهم، واخذل من خذل دين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم ولا تجعلنا منهم. عباد الله رحمكم الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم ولذكر الله أكبر. الله يعلم ما تصنعون. اللہ اکبر اللہ اکبر، اشہد ان لا الہ الا اللہ، اشہد ان محمد رسول اللہ. حی علی الصلاۃ حی علی الفلاح، قد قامت الصلاۃ قد قامت الصلاۃ. اللہ اکبر لا الہ الا اللہ. اللہ اکبر. الحمد للہ رب العالمین، الرحمن الرحیم، مالک یوم الدین، ایاک نعبد و ایاک نستعین، اہدنا الصراط المستقیم، صراط الذین انعمت علیہم غیر المغضوب علیہم ولا الضالین. آمین. لم نشرح لك صدرك فوضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك ورفعنا لك ذكرك فإن مع العسر يسرا إن مع العسر يسرا فإذا فرغت فانصب وإلى ربك فارغب. وإلى ربك فارغب. اللہ اکبر. سمع اللہ لمن حمدا. اللہ اکبر. اللہ اکبر. اللہ اکبر. اللہ اکبر. الحمد للہ رب العالمین، الرحمن الرحیم، مالک یوم الدین، ایاک نعبد و ایاک نستعین، اهدنا الصراط المستقیم، صراط الذین انعمت علیہم غیر المغضوب علیہم ولا الضالین. آمین. والتین والزیتون وطور سینین وهذا البلد الأمين لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم ثم رددناه أسفل سافلين إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فلهم أجر غير ممنون وما يكذبك بعد بالدين إليس الله بأحكم الحاكمين. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أستغفر الله. أستغفر الله. ربنا آتنا. Thank you for joining us for our Friday service. Our next broadcast will be on Monday at 7 p.m. The Barul Quran. That will be followed by the English broadcast, Reflections on the Holy Quran, inshallah. Until then, with the prayer that whoever you are and wherever you may be, may Allah keep everyone safe and sound and free from harm. Assalamu alaikum, Khuda Hafiz, goodbye.